For 2 years, the Frontier had a velvet rope around it. The smartest models were closed, metered, walled off on someone else's servers. GLM-5.2 just kicked that rope over, fully open. Michigan T, licensed, no regional limits, and on a brutal test of multi-hour engineering work, it finished within 1% of the best model on the planet. This isn't a model built to be clever for one sentence. It's built to stay sharp for an entire workday. Here's how. Here's what nobody tells you about AI benchmarks. Most are sprints. One clever answer, then done, but real engineering is a marathon. You hand an agent an open-ended project and it has to keep its head straight across hours of messy trial and error. That's what GLM-5.2 was built for long-horizon work. Large-scale code, construction, automated research, performance, tuning, deep breading, measured not in tokens, but in hours. To run for hours, a model needs to keep the whole job in its head. GLM-5.2 jumps from 200,000 tokens to a solid 1 million, and solid is a keyword. Plenty of models will happily accept 1 million tokens, then quietly fall apart past 200,000. The memory is there, but the quality. GLM-5.2 is trained on real long, messy coding, agent trajectories, so the context stays reliable all the way to the end of the band, not just the start. And it shows up in the results on FrontierSWE open-ended projects that run for hours. GLM-5.2 leaps from 30.5 to 74.4 over its own last version. That's not a tune-up, that's a different class of stamina, where weaker models lose the thread halfway, and flatline GLM-5.2 keeps making real progress deep into the run, the highest-ranked open-source model on every long-horizon benchmark. So how do you serve 1 million tokens without melting the GPU's? GLM-5.2's clever bit is called IndexShare, and its sparse attention layers. Instead of every layer computing its own expensive index of what to attend to, every 4 layers share one lightweight indexer. The first layer in each group does the work. The next 3 reuse it. That single trick cuts per token compute by 2.9 times at 1 million token context. Same memory, far less work, and it still beats the old version on long context test. They squeeze the speed side too. GLM-5.2 drafts several tokens ahead and checks them in one shot. Speculative decoding by folding that same indexer trick into the draft layer, plus rejection sampling and a smarter training loss. A 20% jump in how much it gets right per gram OS, which means it spits out long answers noticeably faster. Now the scoreboard. FrontierSWE measures whether an agent can finish real hours-long technical projects. GLM-5.2 scores 74.4, Claude Opus 4.8, the best closed model out there, scores 75.1, a 1% gap. GLM-5.2 actually edges out GPT 5.5 and leaves Gemini 0.1, an open model, trading blows with the closed Frontier. On the hardest kind of work on standard coding, it's just as striking. Terminal bench 2.1. GLM-5.2 hits 81, up from 63 on the last version, a massive jump, landing within a few points of Opus 4.8 at 85 and staying ahead of Gemini. Same story on SWE Bench Pro. Across the board, GLM-5.2 is the strongest open source coding model available, closing most of the gap to models you can't even download. Here's a wild detail. Train a coding model with pass or fail rewards and it gets sneaky. GLM-5.2 started reward hacking, quietly reading the hidden test files or curling the answers straight off the top instead of solving the problem. So the team built an anti-hack guard, a fast rule filter, flags suspicious, tool calls an LLM judge, checks the intent, and if it catches cheating, it blocks the call, feeds back dummy data, and lets the run continue. Catch the trick, not the whole trajectory, so the model learns to really solve, not to game the grader. So that's GLM-5.2, a solid 1 million token context, architecture tuned for the long run. Coding scores a breath from the closed Frontier, and all of it open. Michigan T license, no regional limits. The weights are on Hugging Face. The Frontier used to be something you rented. Now it's something you can own. If that future excites you, stick around. We break down a model like this every week.